Hello, algebra students. Welcome back to another video lesson here on Edpuzzle. Today, we are jumping into box plots, also known as box and whisker plots. But box plots, really the goal by the end of this video is, do you understand how to construct a box plot if you have a given data set? And can you determine the 5 numbers summary? We're going to look at outliers a little bit later, but that's in there just so you know it's coming. So really, we're going to talk about this idea of what is called a box plot, also known again as a box and whisker plot versus the box and beard plot that I might be sporting when you see me in a live session. So you may have seen this in the past, this box and whisker plot, where it gives us what is called a 5-number summary and information that we have. So here's an example, right? This is 2 of them on the same one. It's just comparing 2 different sets, and they might be 2 different things. But really what we want to focus on is what statistical information do they give us from a box plot? So I'm going to ask you a couple questions. Let's see what you can answer. What do we call these 2 spots down here on each of those box and whisker plots? All right, hopefully you know those are the minimum values. The minimum value, right? The lowest value in the set is going to be on the left side, right? Because that's the way the number line is reiterated. Therefore, if we go to the other end, this higher end, this is going to give us the max value. The max value. Okay, so you've got the lower end on one end of the whisker, the max end on the higher end. Last but not least, what do we call this line inside the box for both sets? What name might we give? Statistical. And these are the medians, or the middle, right? The median of your data set. It might also be called Q2, or what we call quartile 2. Q2. The lower end of the box is called quartile 1, or Q1. And the higher end of the box is called quartile 3, meaning we've separated our data into quarters. Q3. All right, so you've got minimum and maximum. Right in the middle of the box is the median, the middle, and then you've got Q1 and Q3. All right, and those are really important parts to understand when we're looking at these box and whisker plots. And I think I might have a better way of describing that here in just a moment. Okay, the minimum. The minimum, and I'm going to type these so that at least it's a little bit easier to read. The minimum, we hopefully know, is the lowest value. The maximum should be the highest value. I can't spell. Highest value. Minimum is lowest. The maximum is the highest. Then, your second quartile is called the median of the data set. The median, also known as 50%. Right? It's the exact middle of everything that we have. 50% of the numbers are below it. 50% of the numbers are above it. It's that middle ground. Quartile 1 is the first quarter of data. The first quarter, or the 25th percentile. Whereas the third quartile, as you might be able to guess now, is the third quarter of our data, or what we call the 75th percentile. These 3 items, these 5 items, minimum, maximum, first quartile, second quartile, third quarter, are what we call the 5-number summary. Okay, and that's how we are going to look at graphing them on a number line. We need all 5 of those to show up on a number line so that we can kind of see the distribution of the data nice and cleanly. Okay, and so we're going to take a look at how do we construct that. Really, it's all about medians. It's all we're doing when we find a box plot. So here's a data set, for example. We've already got them in order, right? Scores on an algebra test, 61 all the way up to 94. We need to find the 5-number summary. The first item that we need to find is the median. We have to find the median, or Q2. That's really sloppy. I apologize. Let's see if cursive works a little bit better. The median, not much. Remember, to find a median, your numbers have to be ordered from least to greatest, which they already are, and then we find the middle. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 numbers total. 14. So I need to draw a line where there's 7 below and 7 above. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right here. All right, that's my Q2. Right in between 77 and 77. Well, what's the middle of 77 and 77? 77. All right, so that's our median. Then let's find Q1. In order to find Q number 1, we're only going to look at this first half of the data, just the first half, and we're going to find the middle of the first half, right? So where's the middle? If I've got 7 numbers, I want 3 below and 3 above. So that actual number right there is Q number 1, the 25th percentile, or Q1. Right? I've got 3 above Q1 and I've got 3 below Q1. Repeat that process. Oops, let's write that down. Q1 is 71. Repeat that process for the higher end. 3 and 3 means 83 is Q number 3. And again, that's coming from looking at 3 below and 3 above the middle. It's like I took my set and started over. All right, so Q3. Q3 is 83. The other 2 pieces that we need are going to come from the min, the smallest number, which is 61, and the max, which is 94. So in order to create our box plot, we need to make sure we're using an appropriate scale. And I gave you this one, right, where we're going to count by 5s. Okay, we're just going to count by 5s here. And we're going to start by placing the box on here. Okay, so the box. 77 is my median, so that looks to be about 77. Q1 is 71, so here's the other end, the other line to that box. Q3 is 83, so right in the middle. Right, so there's our box, and if I try to connect it as best as I can, there is our box. Q1, the median, and Q3. All right, so the 3 numbers that we found up here become the box, and then the whiskers go to the min. So we're going to draw one more line to the min, and then just connect that back to the other end. We'll draw a line at the max, which is about right there, and we'll connect that back to the box. So there's our box and whisker plot for that set of data. And so you can see that really it's just about finding medians. Find the median of the whole set, and that's your Q2. Focus on the lower end. Find the median of the lower end, and that's your Q1. Then focus on just the upper end. Find your median of the upper end, and that's Q3. Then that's how we get the boxes. Connect them to the min and the max. Now, here's why we might be able to do that. And here's a different set. Okay, here's a different set of box and whisker plots. So the data below shows the number of seconds that it takes different football players to complete the 40-yard dash. The top set is for wide receivers, the guys that catch the ball and run really fast, and the tight ends who sometimes have to catch and sometimes they have to block. And if we look at it comparatively, right, the median is 4.5 up here. That's the 50%, whereas the median down here is going to be somewhere between 4.75 and 5. So like 4.85, 4.87 maybe. Right? So 50% of the tight ends ran slower than all of the wide receivers. Well, here's the highest spot for receivers. If I go down here accordingly, did 50% of the tight ends run slower? And that's true. Here's why. 50% mark is right here, right? That's the median, the 50% mark. And we have 50% and higher all the way down here. So 50% or more of them ran slower than all of the receivers. The tight end data shows more variability. Is it more or less spread out? Well, the tight end, if you look at the length of the box and you look at the length of the whiskers, it's definitely more spread out. So the tight ends are more variable. That is true. Last, we can tell from the box plot how many wide receiver and tight end times were recorded. We know how many of each one. Well, hopefully you answered that was false. This still doesn't give us exact data. It doesn't tell us how many people. It doesn't tell us what the mean is or what the mode is. We don't have the exact data yet, but we can compare their groups. We just can't tell how many of each there were. So that's an introduction to box plots. We're going to work a lot more with this on Monday. You don't have any practice problems on this. I just want to make sure that you get these notes down and that you're ready to go for when we start rolling with this next week. If you do have questions, make sure you reach out. Otherwise, until next time, everyone, stay safe.